Most people don't actually have a communication problem. They have a relationship with conflict problem. What if the very thing you've been avoiding in your life, the tension, the disagreement, the uncomfortable conversations, is actually the doorway to deeper connection, stronger leadership, and real intimacy? Because today's guest is about to challenge everything you thought you knew about conflict. She's not here to help you avoid it. She's here to teach you how to use it.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Alisa, the number one mindset disruptor. And today, we're not playing surface level. We're going into the rooms most people avoid: conflict, intimacy, emotion and tension, leadership under pressure. Because let's be real, you don't rise in life avoiding discomfort. You rise by learning how to navigate it. And guess what? We have a guest today. Joining me is Ms. Anna Lecat. Anna brings over 25 years of global leadership and entrepreneurship experience, specializing in intimacy, conflict resolution, and embodied leadership. She's a speaker, facilitator, and thought leader working across international leadership networks. Cooperate herself. She has a book that's up and coming that's called Loving Conflict. She flips the script on how we see tension, not as something to fix, but as something to practice. She blends psychology, cross-culture insights, and even tango, yes, I said tango, into how we understand connection, trust, and human dynamics. Anna, I am excited to have this conversation with you. Everyone who knows me know when it comes to relationships, I love to talk about it. And there's no relationship without the big word C, conflict. We welcome you to the show. Tell us who you are in your own words, what you do, and why you do it.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, you did a great job introducing me.
Thank
I'm
you.
someone who comes from originally from Ukraine, and then I lived in 3 different countries. I went through 3 different immigrations. I moved to China when I was 17, learned
Wow.
Mandarin. I speak Mandarin fluently without any accent. Then I moved to the United States, San Francisco, and lived there and built another business there. And then now I live in my third country, France. I live in Paris, France. And so I
Yes.
speak all these languages. I speak French, English, Russian, Ukrainian, and Mandarin. And I also work in all the languages. So I travel around the world. I give workshops, and I teach people how to conflict better, so that they can have cohesive, collaborative teams and better
Absolutely.
relationships.
Wow, that's awesome because one thing we can count on is that there will be change, and with change comes conflict, right? So let's start here because this is bold. You don't teach people how to avoid conflict. You teach them how to love it. That sounds a little bit crazy, probably to a lot of people. So
Mhm.
break that down. What are we getting wrong about conflict, Anna?
Well, I think that we all know how to avoid conflict because many of us grew up in families and societies and cultures where we were taught to avoid conflict. In fact,
Yes,
in many, I don't know about you, what was in your family. Many families teach people if you love someone, stay quiet.
they did.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, so you understand that, and most I've been now in so many countries and cultures, and it's consistent.
Pretty much the same. Yes, same here.
Know how to avoid. Also, being in a conflict, being in a tough conversation is very uncomfortable for us. We get flooded with emotions, we get triggered, upset, angry. And so that's an additional discomfort. Not only that we were not taught how to do it, we were taught not to do it, not to be in it. And then we're also not used to being with other people while being upset, angry, sad, scared.
Mm-hmm.
However, what we do know is that if, and I think each of us deep inside, we know if we think back to deep, hard conversations we've ever had, how much more attachment it can create with the other person if we go through and we survive it, if we are able to stay kind to each other and to ourselves and curious, open-minded and listen well, we can resolve so many issues and the friendship grows, the attachment grows. So it kind of every conversation that we have that's tough, it becomes part of the safety net
Yeah,
where when things get hard, we can all fall into like friends would.
right.
And we know that the teams that do have conflicts and survive and strive afterwards, they are much more collaborative. There's much more innovation. They're so much more connected that
Yes.
they
It
can
brings
build
us
anything.
closer.
Exactly.
And so that's why I believe it's something because of the uncomfortable feeling I'm hearing you say, we tend to avoid it. And of course, that's probably why we were taught to avoid it because our ancestors, quote unquote, and our parents and grandparents and so forth, they know the unsettled discomfort. But I have to say, the relief and the connection, like you said, that comes after it, even when it's not favorable, but because we have individuals like you who are guiding us. Once we get the tools and we actually embrace that uncomfortable feeling, there's just such a big relief and, like you said, an intimate connection that comes with it. So, the question I have for you, when did you realize conflict wasn't the problem, but avoidance actually was? Where were you at?
Yeah, I actually understood it early on. When I was in middle school, we had this little boy in our class who was bullied by other kids. And
Mm,
nobody helped him. And neither did I because I was afraid to become the next target. And there was this group of bullies that the school, they were just ostracized. Nobody talked to them. Teachers were afraid of them. And so one day I was watching them beat up this boy and I was thinking, okay, I have to do something. Something has to be done. We can't just keep watching it. And so I couldn't stand there between them and the boy. And so I didn't have that kind of courage. What I decided to do was to go and talk to them. So
mhm,
I asked them, hey, do you want help with homework? And so I became their friend. I went to their houses, met their families, helped them with their homework. And little by little, from being bullies, they became just boys with stories, boys who were sometimes hungry, misunderstood, scared, abused at home, and desperate to connect and to belong. And so, as they got to know me, they also got to know this little boy and they stopped bullying
mm.
him.
Yes.
And we're still friends. I still stay in touch with the boys, and they're still friends with the boy that they were bullying. And so there I realized that, in fact, the fact that I was curious about them, instead of putting them in the box of bullies, unacceptable, afraid, don't
Right.
talk to, I said, well, who
Yes.
are they? Right? And so I went into the conflict. I went into the tough spot, hard conversation, right? And
Yes.
because I was open, I was able to see them beyond their labels and
Yes.
build something that's bigger than what we had before. So I understood it then, and then. As I was moving from country to country and I built several global companies and I was managing big multinational, multi ethnic teams. I kept
Mhm.
noticing that when you have different cultures
Mm.
working together, you have to have those difficult conversations. You
To
cannot make any assumptions.
Mhm.
Nonverbal cues are different in every culture. Somebody shakes their head this way, you don't in some cultures it's a yes, in some cultures it's a no, right? I work a
Right.
lot with Asian people. Many cultures in Asia do not do eye contact. It's not
No,
polite to look. And in the Western cultures, if we don't look people in
that's
the eyes
rude.
and we don't trust, right? Without
Yes.
so there are so many subtleties that unless we spell them out, unless we ask questions curiously, open-mindedly, we just assume and we cannot work together. We can't collaborate. So I kept noticing, and I think because my character is such that I want to put
You get
everything.
curious.
I get curious, and I also want clarity. I'm that kind of a person that is. I am scared of of my.
Yes. Yes. So you address them, you get head on with them ahead of time. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I've been always very transparent with people. Oh, I don't understand. There was a pause right now before you answered. Can I ask you why? Or like if I feel that somebody is angry or irritated in a conversation with me, I will ask.
Yes.
I feel the irritation there. Is it something that I said? Can I take it back so that we can get back to, we're vibing, we're good here, we see each
Right.
other.
Yes. Well, I love that. And you remind me of myself because when I was in elementary myself, I literally would get in the space of conflict and be like okay, why are you fighting? Stop it. You're hurting her or you're hurting him. And then I'll be like, what happened? And then now they're telling, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do they trust me? And I just posted that on YouTube because I was talking about how on another episode that people would just come to me because I went and addressed whenever I saw young children like myself fighting, address it and try to tell them, that's not a good reason why you should fight someone. You shouldn't hit someone for that. You should go tell the teacher, like, the rules. I'm going to go tell. And then, squat. And I'm like, no, don't tell. So I'm like, okay, so you tell him you're sorry. Cause
Wow.
that's what I knew, right? I didn't know back then. Those were the coping words we had is listen, make it better. Stop it, first of all, and then say you're sorry. Once you say sorry, it's good, right? But that's kid. And they will. And then we would all go play together. And so as an adult growing up, I always felt like if people just listen to the other person and realize that I might not agree with you, but that's how you feel, then we would find ways to work around it. And why can't we just all go back and play like the kids? But it's not that simple,
Wow.
right?
It's
So
actually I love it, and I actually think it's that simple. I think it's just that our play is different. The
yeah,
content of the play is different as adults, but it's still the same. Can't we can agree to disagree. I think that
yes,
when I meet somebody who has a very different point of view than me, my assumption is not that I'm right and they're wrong. It's just that
right,
I have this opinion and you have this opinion. Now, what
different.
I want to know is that why do you have this opinion? I'm genuinely curious because first, maybe I don't have enough information. Maybe I will learn something new. I will definitely learn something new, right? And as long as I understand where you're coming from and you understand where I'm coming from, we can go play together. We
Hmm.
don't have like if we are from different political parties, all right, or we are like from different sides of the street, it's okay.
Different
We can still
religion.
we can still create art together, or we can still build a project together. We can still do some service together. We can go walk our dogs together, or play tennis, right? Like there are things that we can still be doing, whatever play is for us, even if we're on
Exactly.
different sides or whatever it is that we decided to argue about.
I agree with that so much because that's the thing about what I get to do in the world is meet so many people from across the globe and we
Mhm.
have our differences and there are times me and my guest we have a different perspective on on an issue or a topic or just whatever we're talking and we never get angry and we still have our bond after the show and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's why I feel like my podcast guests are so very special people in the world because we understand that. We understand that, listen, it's you're gonna be different. And so when is it never I have siblings who we were born from the same mother and father. We were
Mhm.
raised in the same home at the same time. And we grew up and we see the same issue that occurred in the home as kids very differently. And we are able to say, no, that's not what happened. The other one says, no, well, what really happened was, and then we just laugh about it and we still love each other. We still support each other. And so even with your romantic partner, you're never going to agree on 100% of anything. But at the same time, you have to work together to maintain that relationship. So conflict is so necessary. But what I'm hearing you say is conflict doesn't break relationship, mismanaged conflict does. And the mindset we have already embedded about conflict is what's causing the problem. So what I want to ask you, you said that most people think they want more, but they actually want a deeper connection. Can you tell us what you were talking about with that?
Most people want to be seen, loved, and understood, and they want to have a sense of belonging, right? And it doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter what culture, what country, what political or religious belief, right? And so when we connect, what does it mean to be connected with someone else? It's to
Mm,
have that kind of an experience that if I'm connected with you means that I feel fully seen by you, seen and loved and accepted by you. And
yes.
so, how can you give me that experience? Well, if I don't show to you who I am, if I don't show like all my cards to you, if I
Mhm.
don't tell you what I believe in and what my purpose is and what my values are, you can't really provide that experience to me and vice versa, right? And so
Mhm.
those, when we start disclosing to other people who we truly are, it will lead to a discomfort because we're so different. Like you said something so brilliant just now. I think it's very important for everybody to remember in the same family, siblings are different. We can be coming from the same social background and religion and the same street and still have major differences because
Mhm.
our circumstances also shape us. There is also what we inherited from our from people, right, in our family. So remembering that and still being able to give each other that experience of deep connection, that
Yes.
takes skills. I think that is just we all can do that. Some of us better than others, but overall it's just practice, and that's what I do, and that's why I bring body into this. I think it's very
Mm,
important to remember it's not just something that we think through.
think about. Come on,
Yeah,
talk to
it's
us.
something that we practice like exercise. So there are skills of staying present. So noticing in our body, okay, right now I'm angry or I'm hungry or I'm feeling
Mhm.
lonely, I don't feel loved. And
Mhm.
are you having a conflict right now because you are not good? Or go eat, go rest, right? Like, can you stay
You're
present?
in conflict with yourself to begin with, literally.
Exactly.
If you keep ignoring what your body's telling you, right?
Exactly, right? So, we say in tango, it takes two to tango, right? And usually people assume that it takes two people, but actually it takes two connections, one with
Yeah.
yourself and another one with the other person. We can only be truly connected with each other in dance or in life when if we have a connection with ourselves, with our body, our emotions, our history, our biases, our ideas, and then be able to see the other person for who they are without
Wow.
assumptions, without stereotypes, really truly listen to them.
Wow. That is so good. I love that because we always use the term everywhere. It takes two to
Mm,
tango. And we're going to dive into a little bit more about your embodiment later
mhm.
down. But I want to ask you this question because you also said that intimacy is something we create, not chase. Walk us through
Mhm.
really connecting on an intimate level. And I want to challenge our listeners. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an assignment here. Talk to us from parent-child perspective, partners, maybe your romantic partner, and then bring it to our corporate professional space as well. What does intimacy look like, and how can we create that?
So, intimacy is the experience of seeing and being seen by the other person. So,
Mm,
we're not talking about romantic intimacy here. We're not
right.
talking about physical intimacy. We're
Because
talking
people think
about.
intimacy is only that way.
And that's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
That's also that, but it's
Yes.
much bigger term because being intimate with someone means being very close with someone. And so
Mm-hmm.
we all yearn for that. We all long for that feeling of feeling intimate with other people because
Yes.
we have been seen, acknowledged, and we have the feeling of belonging, right? And so
Yeah.
when we are with other people, it's about, okay, how authentic can you be without
Mm,
being connected with the other person? Back to tango. I'm connected with myself and with you, and we can do that with our kids. We can do it with our romantic partners. We can build
mhm.
that kind of relationship. And we can
Yes.
certainly do it in a corporate world. And I think it's very
Yes.
important to do that in a corporate world because what is the point? We spend so much time at work. If we don't have
Mhm.
that kind of connection with people we work with, we can't really build and collaborate together. And intimacy is built by having hard conversations together and not breaking each other's heart while doing it. That's
Mm.
key. And that's why I teach how to fight kindly. We fight. I'm not saying stop fighting for what you believe in, for what you want. I'm not saying do not, if you have an idea at the company in your company, do not stop. Go for it, insist on what you want. However, can you do that while staying kind to other people? Because it's like when I do the workshops, we do this exercise at the very beginning where we look at each other and we
Mm.
recognize a 5-year-old and somebody else.
Yes.
My 5-year-old is right here, right? Like my heart is here. So if you're having a tough conversation with me, don't break my heart.
Yeah.
Right? Like listen to me, listen to how I am expressing myself, respect me, right? Ask curious questions. And I think that the key here is our listening skill. And
Mhm.
that's like a separate, it's a skill that needs to be worked and practiced, especially in the Western
Yes.
society, because we all
Yes.
we all go really fast. We think that it's
Mhm.
important to have a fast conversation, right? It needs to be effective.
Yes.
We need to be productive. And so we frequently talk over each other. We do not let each other finish our sentences. And
Mm.
it's that kind of I'm not talking about that listening. I'm talking about, okay, can I listen to you without preparing what I'm going to say? Right? Can I listen? Like the practice is very simple. Can you let the other person finish their sentence even when you know how at the end of the sentence sometimes people can't find that last word and they just start
Mm.
and we're usually so helpful. We're like, "Oh, you want to say that, right?
Yes, I do it.
You're not alone." Fast food. It's just we are in a hurry, right? You know,
Right.
for 1 year, I've practiced myself. I've said to myself, okay, I'm not going to finish anybody's sentence for 1 year.
Mm.
It was painful, so
What's going
painful.
on here?
It's like, oh, when are they going to finish? And when people are streaming, but you know what I found out? Every time I didn't finish somebody's sentence and they let that pause, that they're looking for that word, let it be. And I just breathe and just like look at them
Mm.
like when they said different word that then I was going to give them to like fill it in.
Mm.
Which
Mm.
means that and people usually just if I can't find that word and you give me a word, I'm just like, okay, fine. Clearly she's in a hurry. Let's go, right?
Wow. I'm taking that in because now I'm putting myself on the 1-year challenge. I would not lie to you. I was like, okay, there's a goal. That's something I can work on. And I know it will just make me better. So let's get practical, right? Because people are listening right now thinking, okay, this sounds really good. But what should I do? What should I actually do when these emotions rise? How do you stay grounded when you're triggered? Again, because a lot of times like the great example you give, okay, that's one we can watch because now that really helps for the connection and the intimacy. But now they've made me mad. They have overstepped their boundary. They have hurt my feelings. How do I really stay grounded when I'm triggered?
It's another, I think it's another understanding we have in our culture that we shouldn't be angry. Anger, there is a book that came out a while ago called Good Anger. Anger is not bad. Anger means your value was stepped on or your boundary was crossed. Anger
Mm.
is a very important information. And so the more we show to people our anger and we translate it to people, the better you are going to feel, more you're going to feel seen. So let's imagine you got upset in a conversation because somebody said something that is unacceptable to you or they crossed your boundary, right? Like anger usually there is a good reason for it. What I would do when I get angry, I would be, okay, I am feeling extremely angry right now. It's hard for me to talk. Can we talk about this? Because I'm super curious about my anger. Every time I'm angry, I'm like, what happened? What just because it gives me information about myself. It's a mirror
Right.
into my right, like my what's going on. I think it's when you said that, it made me angry because and then I go into because most of our anger is not because of what happened now.
Mm.
I'll give you an example. I get really angry when someone tells me what to do. Simply, I just
Right.
cannot. I'm driving a car and somebody is sitting next to me. If they tell me how to drive a car while I'm the driver, I want to stop right there on the highway and say, "I no, I can't focus. Get my anger is just overflow. I'm flooding." And so several times I noticed it that like I would be somebody that I love next to me, adore, my mother, like somebody very important to me, and they have an opinion about how I drive. Flooded, cannot. And so every time I was like, oh, this is so interesting. What's going on for me there? And so now I know. So I went to therapy. I understood where it's coming from, right? It's coming from like when I was 3 years old, right? Like it's come
Right.
from somewhere far. I was brought up to be independent, strong woman. Don't tell me
Yes.
what to do. And so
Yes.
now when I drive and somebody is next to me, when we get into the car before we start driving, I give them the blueprint of how to succeed with me. Okay. I say, there is this thing I have. I'm working on it. I'm not giving up. I get super triggered when somebody tells me what to do when I'm driving. It comes from like I'm telling people I show my cards and I'm working on it. It's not like forever I'm going to be this person who get right.
You need
And
to.
so can you please be kind to me? And so that we're safely getting where we're going. Either you
Mhm.
drive if you
Mhm.
cannot, because some people cannot, sit there and not tell drivers what to do. So if you cannot be that kind of a passenger, why don't you drive? Or just sit there quietly and don't tell me what to do. Right? So this is it. So when you get triggered, analyze it, understand where it's coming from, and then
Mhm.
people your cards and say, this is a trigger. Let's work on it together. Can you please, if it's possible for you?
I love that. I practice that in my life as much as I can. Is getting cu I tell and I say it all the time in podcast, I get curious. That's been my word. Let's get curious. If you stay like a kid, "But why? But why?" So once you think, "But why?" You're always gonna get more information. But first, you can't necessarily. Some people don't have the information about themselves even when you ask. So it comes down to you being curious about yourself first and then being able to demonstrate it. And I love that you do that. It's a blueprint. And one of the things I'm enjoying, and I was just saying this to one of my clients, I enjoy that when someone says that to me, I'm like, let's just say you didn't even realize and you weren't accountable and weren't in retraining for, okay, I know my trigger now and I'm working on it. And you weren't able to give me the blueprint. When I see you do that, I'll be like, oh, you get really striked up on that, don't you? And I'm like, you're like, yes, I can't stand it when people do that. And I'm like, I understand. And instead of thinking, oh, let's throw Anna away, I am never getting a car with Anna again. Because honest truth, Anna's a really great driver. It's just the woman in the back that was with us can't let Anna drive the car because she needs to be in control of what other people do because that's her own childhood journey and where she is in her life. If she wasn't in control, it wasn't working. So now she has to tell Anna. But for Anna, she doesn't want to be told. So both of them can be triggered for the same thing. So for me, I'm like, I don't want to go driving with Anna and Lisa. And I've been in the situations where I've had friends where I'm like, I am not ever going out with you all again together, but I will go out with you separately because you all are doing something that doesn't work. And I said, what it is, you guys don't let each other have a moment to lead. In the meantime, I'm in the middle, letting you both lead, but then you get into a fight. And I don't want to experience that every time I hang out. So I will go with you separate and you separate. But my point is just observing other people, seeing where they are. And again, you give us the pointer of being curious and asking questions, saying, hey, Anna, I notice you get really upset every time I give my opinion about something. I'm not sure if you're noticing that. So how can we work with it? And you might be defensive. You Maybe somewhere you're all on your journey. You might be like, me? I don't do that. I'm like, well, when last time and second time, is it okay if we talk about it now or do you want to talk about it later? Because I see you're defensive and sometimes it's best for me to step back. And you're like, no, let's talk about it. Let's address it. I'm like, so I know you're not doing this intentionally, but this has happened a lot and it makes me uncomfortable. I haven't had anyone who didn't hear me out and like say, oh, I'm sorry I'm doing that. I didn't know. I'm gonna watch it. I'm like, okay, all right, well let's move forward. And I literally walk away and show that person that we worked on that. It's something we'll work on in the future. But we're good. We're clear. We're on the same page right now because we both understand that moment. It's only now we're gonna apply the tools and work at it when we're in there. What are your thoughts on that process?
I think that clarity is kind, right? Like I think Brene Brown said that
Mm,
clarity is kind. So yes, being clear. I think it's great to not only disclose this is what's going on for me, but being open with why I am the way I am. Telling each other the stories of our lives, because that's where intimacy lies. Not just this pisses me off, but this pisses me off because I come from here and this is what happened to me. And that's why I'm the way I am. And I'm working on it. That's the intimacy created. You seeing me now. And
yeah.
so most of the time, the issues are going to melt, or at least they're not going to be so harsh because
Mm-hmm.
we just created that net, or we
Yes.
just saw each other. So we trust each other more.
Yeah.
The more we see each other, the more we trust each other. And so then we can rely on that trust when things get harsh between us.
I love that. And that is a great dimension to put there for this segment is listen, don't just tell them you are. Share with them the why behind it, especially if you know. And that's why too, do you think or would you advise us that when we are feeling those emotions, go through the curiosity step about our own and what we're feeling to get beneath the why so we can possibly share with the person? Would you say that as well?
I think it's fascinating, especially big emotions. It's
Uh-huh.
fascinating to find out why we're having those emotions, especially if they're uncomfortable. If you have an uncomfortable emotion over and over again, check it out. Like, look inside where it's coming from, because you're going to have possibly less discomfort once you understood it, right? There's therapy for that. There are all kinds of modalities for understanding our emotions and just talking with our friends and being like, hey, I noticed I get angry here all the time. Do you also have that? Another aspect of sharing with others about it, even if we don't know where it's coming from, is there could be this moment where if I share with you what's going on with me and you say, I also have that, that actually feels amazing that I'm not alone. Actually, you are also experiencing it. I immediately stopped thinking, oh, I'm this unique person that only something is wrong with me because only I have that emotion when this happens. And then
Mm-hmm.
everything gets lower, right? Like the intensity gets lower once I know that you and me share that.
Yes. I want to ask you to speak to that leader manager who is working with a team. I share a reference. I was working with a team. There's the manager, and then there's the staff and the clients. And so I was doing a little bit of conflict resolution because I'm working on a process with them in operations procedures. But the conflict, of course, is going to come up why things aren't working, right?
Mhm.
And so I want you to speak to that manager who this one manager said, I am not here to build a relationship because I was sharing you want to connect with each of your clients and each of your staff team members to be able to understand what makes them tick. She says, I'm not here to build a relationship with anybody. I'm here to get this job done. Speak to someone who may be consciously or unconsciously taking that approach that hey, and that's the intimacy piece you speak on. Hey, I don't have to have a relationship with you. I just need you to do what I say. Talk to that leader or manager
Thank thank
what
you.
they're getting and what they're not going to get.
Thank you. And I have a lot of respect and for people like that. And I totally get it. I feel that. They want to get things done. They want people to be accountable and responsible for their roles. Totally
Right.
get that. I would say to that manager that they are having relationships with people anyway. It's just that that relationship they're having is not deliberate.
Mm,
Saying that I don't want to have a relationship with someone, stay at home. But you're not staying at home. You have a job and you have people working for you or with you. So you have a relationship with everyone with who you interact with. It's just not
mm,
deliberate relationship. You're not building it deliberately. You're not building the attachment. You're not building connection. You're not building trust that you need so that they
mm,
follow your orders, your guidance, they listen to you, they respect you. So many things. Trust is required for all those things. And so, and I get it that maybe they don't want the version of a relationship that we are trying to talk them into.
mm,
Fair enough. It's,
mm,
everybody has their own desires and I respect their desires.
mhm,
Let's just admit that something is anyway going on there.
mm,
Them and the team and vice versa, right? The team has a relationship with that manager. So
mhm,
let's put the cards on the table. Do you trust
mm,
them? Do you care about them? Can there be anybody else in that team and you wouldn't care? Right? Like if we go granular, there is a relationship. That person cares about some people, maybe less about other people, trust some people, respects others, right? So just to go granular and to understand what's there.
Yes, that's powerful. And that's the perspective. That's kind of where I love what you said. You're having a relationship anyway. You just don't have one that's intentional to the point of what your task or
Mhm.
assignment is to this group or with this person. You get to choose. If you want the results, you're going to have to invest. And again, that respect for that you might not want to do it the way we suggest,
Mhm.
where intimacy is at this certain level, but there's still a level of trust that is required. You get to decide how you want to create that. But if you want me to support you and your team, you're going to have to give me something here. What are you willing to give? If you don't mind, with flip the script, because you did share with us where you kind of encountered conflict resolution very early in your life. So I'm going to embody that, ask you to bring the embodiment piece in this
Mhm.
segment that we call Flip the Script. If you can walk with us how you work with clients and maybe teams across the globe in using your method and then bringing the embodiment piece as well. We would love to hear about.
So I am a tango dancer. I've been dancing tango for more than 20 years. And I dance actually
Beautiful.
both roles. Tango is a traditional dance where usually men lead and women follow. And it's a very intimate dance and comes from Argentina. It's beautiful and it's fully
Mhm.
improvised. So the only
Mhm.
way for the two people to dance together is to be fully in the moment because
Mm.
every step depends on where the other person is stepping. And so I realized early on that this is a very clear metaphor for any connections. Even that manager with the people that they manage in their team, they're dancing tango. The way
Yeah.
that they say something and there is a response. Then the team does something and there's going to be a response from the manager. So we are not independent. We are dependent in our right in our relationships. So
Mhm.
uh, also, I believe myself in very much an embodiment that we do not just think and we're not just cognitively thinking creatures. We have our
Come
body that
on.
comes with us everywhere, right? We
Mm.
feel, we sense, we have nonverbal cues that we give out to other people, right? How I speak, what I touch, how, right? Like, am I tense right now or am I relaxed, right? Am I interested in your, right? Like to talk to you or I welcome what you're saying, right? And so I incorporate body language and somatic practices and tango dancing in my workshops because
Mm.
very often when we start talking about conflicts and we start bringing up real scenarios in the workshop, it gets really emotional. People remember that they're not talking to their mother or their
Mm.
teenage kid or, they cannot have a conversation with their boss. It's all very present. So I
Yeah.
noticed that every time we bring the body, I actually teach simple tango steps in the workshops, in the corporate workshops. And
Yeah.
we learn how to lead and follow, how
Yeah.
to walk by leading and following someone. And so it relaxes us. We remember that we are living feeling creatures and we get out
Mm.
of those hard emotions that conflicts bring up. And then we learn like that. So we learn, for example, when somebody leads in tango,
Mhm.
they have this experience and we lead just by holding hands if people are comfortable or we don't use hands. I can lead you by walking and you see that I'm walking towards you, so you will be stepping back from me. So we don't have
Mhm.
to touch. There is this amazing feeling that when I lead someone and they can feel what I'm about to do and they step back, that I am fully responsible for another human being's experience. That
Mhm.
makes somebody a much better leader
Yes.
to constantly pay attention to the people who follow me, to listen to them, to watch them, to feel them, to watch out for nonverbal cues. Are they okay? Are they comfortable? Do they feel safe? Do they like where they're going? And
Yeah.
in tango, often we say that a good leader follows the follower.
Yes.
I will watch where the follower steps and then I will walk there the
Mm.
same very good leader of the team. They're not just, walking and not paying attention if the team behind them is actually following them, right? They're
Yes.
constantly like, okay, does it make sense to you? Do you understand our why, right? Do you all agree with it? Right? Are you all aligned with it? And so we've practiced through our body and we understand how to do it better in life.
So good. I'm soaking it up because I'm thinking about how enriched all those organizations are that you show up in and bring this kind of perspective because it is so well needed as we have so much. And again, I think that a lot of times we are missed about what's really happening in the world only because we're in a space with so much information. We have so much access. So we're getting information from everywhere all the time. So now I think we're just more aware. So I tend not to say, sometimes I'm like, I've listened to someone said, oh, it's been like this. The world has been like this. It's just at an elevated level of us knowing it's happening here all the time. But
Mm.
I feel like we're in a unique space where there's just a lot of people who used to be quiet are not quiet anymore, right? So they're speaking on behalf of themselves. People are doing a great job at saying, hey, these are my boundaries. But then we get, these are my boundaries and these are my boundaries. So you be over there and I'm going to be over here. And so they're doing the right thing by setting and stating their boundaries. But now it's, of course, going to be in conflict with someone else's boundaries. And now there's that conflict that's ever eternal. And so in the workplace, a lot of productivity, and I say this to organizations that, believe it or not, if you're in the green with $10 million, you're probably missing about another $10 million at least,
Mhm.
because your teams are not in, not perfection, but they're not in harmony, right? Their communication and the conflict levels and, systems are not in place. So when you're in these organizations, tell us a little bit about what usually are organizations saying that they need, and kind of what your generalized, because I know we don't have a whole lot of time for you to tell us all your things, and that's proprietary information as well. What do you see organizations and leaders suffering with a lot
Mhm.
across the globe?
Yeah, so I think that well, first of all, there are silos. There are
Mm,
the departments are not talking to each other. You have a sales department and marketing department. There is a conflict. There are very few sales and marketing departments that are collaborating peacefully. Then you have
so true.
engineers. Then you have engineers in marketing. Again,
Mm,
different language, different culture, different slang, different purpose, alignment, values are all different, and they're all part of this big company. So just translating between them and making sure that each of these departments understands why the other ones are there, what is their
mm,
purpose, and what is their language, and vice versa is already great for collaboration and moving things forward. Then there is something that I work a lot with. That usually players, very successful employees that are very important for the company, that do not know how to be collaborators,
mm,
that are individual contributors, and they do not want to be part of the team, but they're so
mhm,
brilliant. Usually they're
mhm.
CEOs of the companies, or, chief innovations officers. So somebody who is extremely important for the company, but the board doesn't know how, cannot handle them. They don't know how to work within a team. And so how to translate them, how to bridge between these people and the teams, because it always takes a village, right? Like it takes a village
Yeah.
to raise a child, it takes a village to make anything successful. So that's another one. Now, also, just simple thing of women and men working together and
Yeah.
understanding each other. We don't need to go into sales and marketing. If you have women and men on the same team, how do they work together?
Mm,
Even there, the language can be very different.
yes.
Now, also the change management now with AI introduction into many companies, the change management is a very important part because people are nervous, people are scared. When they're nervous and scared, they start being more emotional, and
Yes.
so more conflicts come up. So we need to also have the skills of conflicting so that we can understand what's going on. What are you nervous about? What are your fears? And have those conversations.
Right. So good. So you have brought all this work that you've been doing into a book.
Yeah.
And I don't care how advanced we get. Yes, I have to get my copy. I want an actual physical copy. Did you do audiobook as well yet, or not yet?
No, it's only printed and Kindle.
Kindle. So I got the Kindle, but I'm going to get my physical copy because I still believe in books, no
Mhm.
matter how advanced we get. So you have brought a lot, or a majority of, as much as you can put into a book, about your teachings, your principles, and your guidance. So tell us why the book and what the book actually helps solve for the world and working with individuals in this space.
Well, it's a very practical book about how to do this, how to fight kinder. So
Mm,
I describe the principles that I've developed, the framework of love in conflict, how
yes.
to actually, because I believe that we love something that we're good at. We're not good at
Yes.
conflicting because we avoided it all of our lives. Once we practice the skills and get better at it, we start loving it. And then we are looking for it everywhere. I can tell you
Mhm.
that people that work with me and who went through my workshops, they are the people that at first they become inconvenient. So they're the people who are going to first practice in small conflicts. So they're going to, tell the hairdresser that they didn't really like how it looked. They're going to be doing much less people pleasing, and
Right.
they're much more clear about what is it that they are wanting. But then
Mhm.
it's the same people who know how to repair well. So they will say to their hairdresser what didn't work, but it's going to be with care for their heart. And they're going to be very clear on this is how you do it better next time. I have a request for you. Can you
Ah.
please do it next time? So it's not just criticizing somebody, it's giving clear feedback. And this is how we can repair next time. So all those scripts are in the book. I also talk a lot in the book about listening, how to listen, ready to change our mind with very practical tools on how to get to that state that we don't really know how to be in. And I describe a lot about tango and how this metaphor works in love and conflict.
Oh, I love it. And I have to go looking online. I don't know if you have videos of you. Probably have. I can't. I would love to have clips in this episode of you probably dancing or teaching. I don't know. I'm gonna have the team look for it to add it. But here's the thing. I again, first of all, thank you for the book because it's so well needed. It's a well needed tool. And you all know I'm going to highly recommend you grab a copy. And then we have a book club in Mindset Mastery 360. And we'll talk about that later. But I recommend that I'm going to have the vote that we read this book as well. And what we do in our book club is we go over weeks, just every chapter or maybe 2 chapters a week, and then we just meet and discuss over it. So maybe when you have some time, you can join us for one of those. But that's what we do because readers are leaders, but these are tangible tools that it will enrich every aspect of our lives. Not enough conversation. So of course I would love to have you back. For right now, I would love to give you the opportunity to tell us after all that you have done with your life and your work and your journey, how do you describe success for yourself, Anna?
Success for me is staying connected with myself fully,
Mm,
staying in balance and alignment with myself first before anything else. I have several businesses, I have three young kids, I travel all over the world. And as long as I stay fully connected with what is it that I want, desire, need, and value at all times, and taking good care of my body is
mm,
something that I pay a lot of attention to. So that's half of it. And then another half is, am I connected with people around me? Am I
mm,
fully connected with people? Am I seeing them fully?
mm.
Because I don't want to hurry through my life and build things without giving that experience to people around me that they are fully seen and appreciated.
I love that. I'm soaking that in. I love that. I love that definition of success for you. Anna, we do mindset bites to go. It's where I step away from the microphone and the camera, and you have about 90 seconds or so. Someone is listening right now. They avoid conflict. They struggle with connection and they don't feel heard themselves. What would you say to them and what do they need to understand starting today? What tools and tips you can give them? I'll step away from the mic and the cam. It's just you and our listeners and viewers. Here we go.
I get it that you avoid conflict. I get it that it's scary and that it feels very uncomfortable. And you also know that in discomfort, that's where your growth lies. That's where transformation lies, right? So start small. Every time you feel uncomfortable to start the conversation, just pause, prepare, and stay present and curious. And remember to listen to somebody else ready to change your mind. If you are ready to change your mind, if you are not preparing your answer, you will be able to hear their full story. And then you will be able to be deliberate about how you build that relationship with them. So good luck and fight kindly.
Fight kindly. I love that. I'm going to quote you on it so often because fights are okay, but being empowered to do so and doing it kindly and protecting not just yourself, but the other persons as well is important. Anna, we would love to know how we can stay connected with you and, of course, get a copy of your book. Tell us how to connect with you.
Yeah, the book is Love and Conflict. Here it is. And I'm all over on Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere.
Absolutely. And we, of course, will have those links in the description. And Anna, we hope that you come back and have another conversation with us, especially after I'm done reading the book. And we would love to have you back when you're available because we know you have a busy schedule as well. But thank you so much for your wisdom and the gems that you've given us today to empower us to fight kindly. Listen, disruptors, this conversation that you just heard, it is absolutely applicable to every one of us. And it's only the tip of the iceberg for what Anna delivers in transformational space as a conflict and intimacy consultant. If this episode challenged you and it even stretched you a little bit, ask you to rethink how you show up in your relationships and reach out to Anna and let her know that you heard her here. And I think the biggest compliment you can pay her is to let her also know you got a copy of the book and how it's helping you transform. Anna, thank you so much again. We so appreciate you.
I love talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And Disruptors, you heard it here. We're looking forward to having another episode. So don't avoid the hard conversations. Go ahead and master them. Until the next one, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do become. Bye now.